It's time for the rundown with Rob Sanders.
Welcome into the rundown. I am Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining me this afternoon here on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. As always, it's great to be with you on a Friday. Ladies and gentlemen, I will be giving you my picks for the weekend for the NFL. Last weekend, I don't remember. I was above 500. Let's just put it that way. The lines on these games though are really tight. Really, really, really tight. So we'll get into those momentarily. Also today, it's kind of funny. Some of the moves that are happening on the coaching front, like Steve Sarkisian is basically making Texas Alabama light. And I know it sounds like I'm being silly with all that, but that's what he's doing. So we'll get into that. What's going on at Tennessee? Yeah, we'll get into that as well. There are some programs that need to get their stuff together. One of them is Tennessee, but what they're doing right now, they are setting Jeremy Pruitt up for failure. What do you mean by that? Well, the way that they've set up this whole thing with the investigation, he hasn't been able to hire anybody. Yeah, not good if you're a Tennessee Volunteer fan. So we'll get into that this afternoon as well. So lots of stuff to get into today, but my lead thing today is the Deshaun Watson saga. And okay, he doesn't want to be with Houston. I get it. But there's talk out there, and someone mentioned it this morning on ESPN's Get Up. Bart Scott, an analyst there on that program, said the following this morning, and kind of makes you open your eyes a little bit. So here is what Bart Scott said this morning about Deshaun Watson, and should the Jacksonville Jaguars trade the number one pick in the draft to get Deshaun Watson? You know, you can have an argument and say, hey, Deshaun is this, Deshaun is that, and that's great. But do you trade the number one pick? I don't know if I'm buying that or not. But here is what you got from Bart Scott, who is on ESPN's Get Up. And it kind of made sense. Let me get this moving over here in just a second. And there we go. All right, so here's how that will work with the stuff from
Indianapolis and Tennessee. So now you think about Urban Meyer, can he make that adjustment to dealing with grown men and not dealing with the kids? Because what happens if you're dealing with young adults, it's a dictatorship in college. It's a partnership in the pros. Mm-hmm. He's going to have to find some guys that's going to buy in, that's going to sell his message in the locker room. And to do that, you have to win the veterans. The good thing is they got rid of Fournette, they got rid of Ramsey, they got rid of Boye, all guys that will have strong personalities that can maybe turn the tide away from you. But when guys struggle like Nick Saban, when guys struggle like Petrino, when guys struggle coming from the college ranks, it's because they think they're talking to student athletes and not grown men that got mortgages, kids, and other responsibilities that'll tell you about yourself. And oftentimes they got more power than you have. So as soon as he understands that, the better he'll be. But they're not going to win for a long time. Or will he have the patience to endure 2-3 losing seasons before it turns around?
There you go. That's comments from Bart Scott this morning on ESPN's Get Up. And a lot of what he says about the whole college coaching thing is kind of a lot of people have said that before, but saying that they should trade for Deshaun Watson and give up going after Trevor Lawrence. Now, there are two ways to look at this. One is you could have the argument that Look, Deshaun Watson has made his way in the pros. Watson is still a young quarterback. But is there a section of people that says, you know what? And it almost feels like bad saying this, but is the ceiling higher on Trevor Lawrence? I don't know. Would you make that move? Would love to get your comments on that at 803-978-1832. I don't know if I could make that move or not. Because basically you're putting your eggs all in the basket of Deshaun Watson, and that's a great way to go. But to be honest, coming in and making that kind of move, wow, that would be interesting to say the least. All right, 803-978-1832. Out to the phones we go. And good afternoon. Welcome to the Rundown.
Hello, Rob. Rob, it's Bobby and Casey. How are you today?
Good, sir. What you got for the program?
Well, this is what I would say. If you trade Deshaun Watson, essentially a generational quarterback, why would you trade him to another AFC team where Jacksonville's going to beat your butt in the AFC Championship or meet you every year? If Houston unloads him because he's unhappy, trade him to the NFC and make Urban Meyer draft a Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields right out of college and try and work it that way.
That's an interesting way to go with it too, but I don't like the idea of they're in the same division. So, yep. I mean, that's kind of tough. But the other thing too with Watson, his biggest thing is he just wants to win. Do you really want to go to Jacksonville where it's a complete gong show right now? Yeah.
Well, it's a rebuild, and you got a man like Urban Meyer who has had success in college, but not the NFL. So you wonder. I don't know. I'm a Dolphin fan, as you pretty well know. So I mean, I'm not really hoping for success for neither, because they're in the AFC too.
I hear you on that, man.
So I got two quick notes in college in the ACC, since you kind of bring up Clemson, because you're the alternative to the other station. David Cutcliffe is relinquishing play calling, and my internet's messing up right now, so I don't know who on the staff that's with him now, or he's looking to hire. My Twitter's kind of frozen. Who he might be giving play calling to as of this season. And also, let me see if I got it right, Kevin White, the athletic director at Duke, will be stepping down in August. So there's change there, because maybe Cutcliffe is slowly easing out the door to retirement. So they win in football, but they don't. Basketball is the priority, as everybody knows. Coach Krzyzewski's been there since the mid-1970s in basketball. So, and also Manny Diaz will be the play caller on defense, the head coach and defensive coordinator this coming season, 2021, for the Miami Hurricanes.
Well, there you go with that, man. Appreciate you giving me that.
They looked awful on defense that last game I saw them. I mean, against Virginia Tech, they looked awful.
Good point on that, buddy.
All right. You take care, Rob. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Well, yeah, all of that makes sense. David Cutcliffe, though, I got a chance to Lawton Swan and I were at ACC kickoff a couple of years ago, and it's the first time I've seen David Cutcliffe in person. He looks like a librarian. Now, I'm not knocking him for the way that he looks. I mean, you could say, hey, Rob, you look like you're a crazy looking fool yourself. No, I mean, but he looks like a guy that you would go and talk to, and like he's your history professor. Just saying that's kind of the vibe that I get from David Cutcliffe. Obviously, he's one of the, if Peyton Manning trusts you, if Archie Manning trusts you, you're a pretty good coach, in my opinion. So he can do whatever he wants at Duke. Duke is like Vanderbilt. If you take a job there and you do somewhat well over time, they should just let you coach there forever. I mean, the alumni don't care about football. You'll have the one or two that say, oh, we'd care. Yeah, okay. They would trade a Duke ACC win in hoops for anything else in football. It's just the way that it is. So it's completely different on that front. And, that's why you have some people that say things like, the ACC can't carry the SEC's bags in football. They can use programs like a Duke and a Wake Forest and even a Boston College. You go to a Boston College game, you're going to see it's probably not going to be full at the stadium, and they're going to have half the people wearing Brady jerseys from when he played with the Patriots. That's just kind of the way it is. At some of these universities, yes, they have some football tradition. I understand that. But in the grand scheme of things, they don't care about football. It's the same way. So there's that. But anyway, we'll take your calls on the Deshaun Watson stuff that we talked about. Would you trade the number 1 pick for Deshaun Watson right now? 803-978-1832. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. Would be interesting. Interesting to say the least. I don't think it's going to work that way, but Bart Scott seems to think that as well. And your thoughts on Urban Meyer. He said today that he wasn't going to go somewhere where he didn't think that he could win. That kind of bothers me. Just the way it came out. Yeah, there's things here that we can use that we can win, but I don't know. What it bothers me on is that it didn't seem like it seemed like he just went places where there was already something established. I know he coached at Utah and Bowling Green, and of course then he goes down to Florida, which had tradition, of course. Then he goes to Ohio State and does well there. Maybe I'm just not an Urban Meyer guy. I could just come out on the air and say that. I'm just not a guy that believes in Urban Meyer. I feel like he had at Florida, let's be honest, he left the Florida program in a lot worse place when he left. I don't know. You have the whole thing of if he had health issues. And as soon as all that came out, I just didn't really believe him. And at first came to me, I was like, is this really happening? Is he going to really leave this Florida program? I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just not on the Urban Meyer train. We'll take calls on that at 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832. Do you think he's going to make it in the pros? Or do you think the Khan family down in Jacksonville should stick to AEW wrestling? Because they own that too. And a soccer team and lots of other stuff. Scott says Deshaun would be better for New England. You think that you think the hoodie hasn't thought about that? It seems like New England's got tons and tons of picks. They may be able to go in and tell Houston, you give him the old Jedi mind trick. You only need 2 future first-round picks for Deshaun Watson. You only need an 8th-round pick. That's what they would probably do. Brandon brings up the obvious. He won 3 national titles and 2 undefeated seasons, one at Utah in 2004 and Ohio State his first year. Yes, he also let killers be on his team. And people that did a lot of drugs were on his team at Florida. And it was all saturated with the goodness of Tim Tebow, who was like this guy that was above everything else. Okay? And that's what he put out in front of us. But, you got the Hernandez story where he literally did kill guys that convicted of it. I'm not putting anything out there that's wrong. Just saying. He left the program in a worse spot. And then Florida did, who they hired Ron Zook after he left. And then they hired Will Muschamp. And finally they're getting somewhat closer with Dan Mullen. But Dan Mullen's becoming a guy that's like, I don't know about all that. I don't know if he's done well at Florida, but he says a lot of dumb things. Another question from the folks on the chat room. Rob, do you think it would be smart for the Panthers to trade up to select Justin Fields? I think the Panthers are locked into Teddy Bridgewater for a while right now. I think they've locked him in for the next 2 or 3 seasons. So I don't know if that's the way to go or not, to be completely honest with you. I don't know if going after a quarterback right now is the way to go. I do know that Christian McCaffrey, the franchise player, is a running back, and running backs don't last long. And they're they're slowly stepping away from the point where he's going to be valid in the NFL. Out to the phones we go. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Rundown.
Rob, it's Bobby and Casey again.
Hey,
I
bud.
hate to double dip on your program and steal some thunder here. Grace Rayner and Larry Williams are putting out right now on Tiger Illustrated real quick. Dabo's making some big changes to his staff.
Yeah, we'll have to check on that during the break.
Will be a running backs coach. Tony Elliott, in lieu of what we discussed yesterday about going to the NFL, will be now the tight ends coach. There's nothing on here about who the offensive coordinator and play caller would be. Danny Perlman is headed to an all-field role. So that tells Grace Rayner's Twitter as of about 10 minutes ago.
All right, I have to check that out, man. Thank you so much.
But actually, she pulled it from whoever, Larry Williams. I guess that's Tiger Illustrated. He's the guru, the maven from that.
Yeah.
You're the Clemson guy in town.
Yeah.
You and Lawton Swan. All right. I'll get off the air. Thanks again for letting me double dip today, Rob. Have a good day.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it. Yeah. We'll have to check into that as we get ready to go to a break here. If Dabo Sweeney's making some changes, we'll look into that. Frank says Deshaun is a bum. Urban Meyer is what you would call an opportunist coach. He'll only coach schools where he feels that he can win, and once he knows he can't, he hauls butt. Yeah, you're right about that. All right, so we're going to check into what Bobby and KC was talking about there a moment ago as we take a quick break here. You're listening to The Rundown. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. That's funny, Frank.
Panera's new flatbread pizzas are here, but to our new chef, boss, they're not just pizzas, they're masterpieces. Because it's not just cheese, it's hot and melty mozzarella and fontina cheese. It's not just sauce, it's market tomato pepper sauce. And it's not just toppings, it's fresh mozzarella, basil, and grape tomatoes. Taste our delicious new flatbread pizzas today. Order online for pickup or delivery. Panera. Restrictions apply.
Welcome back to the Rundown. Follow Rob on Twitter at Rob Sounds Good.
Welcome back into the Rundown. As our caller said earlier, Grace Rayner from The Athletic confirms Larry Williams from Tiger Illustrated's report. Basically, what they're doing is Danny Pearman is going to go to an off-field role. Tony Elliott will coach the tight end. CJ Spiller will take care of the running backs for Clemson. That's basically what's going to happen. So we'll figure out everything as far as that's supposed to be confirmed or finalized next week. And, you know, it's a big role with Spiller coming onto the field to coach the running backs, one of Clemson's all-time great running backs, and still a young guy, can go out and on the recruiting front, that makes sense. You know, if you meet CJ Spiller, he is going to he is a guy that is young and said, hey, I went to the NFL and spent some time there. Makes a lot of sense. I'm assuming that it'll be kind of a dual role for Tony Elliott. So we'll have to check on that, but that's kind of how that works from here. Of course, Lawton Swan from Clemson Sports Talk will have all of the coverage on that. So keep up with Lawton Swan on that this afternoon. He'll have the full breakdown on that. But basically, CJ Spiller is your new running back coach, and the tight ends will now be coached by Tony Elliott. So there you go with that. 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832 is the number to call if you'd like to join us on the rundown this afternoon. You know, I've also got some other things here. I want to talk about Tennessee for a second. They've got so much going on up there at Tennessee where they're in a hiring freeze and they can't hire anybody. And what a disaster Tennessee football has become. And, you know, people seem to forget the days when, you know, the big orange tea would, you know, put fear into the hearts of a lot of teams. They're one of the cream of the SEC crop at one point. The days of Peyton Manning and T. Martin and all those guys, it's kind of over now. When you look at Tennessee, it is it's at a point now where what they're doing with Jeremy Pruitt, they got to figure out if they want to go with him or not. They did manage to get Kevin Steele hired. And I don't know if he's going to come in and be the defensive coordinator or what he's going to do. But if I'm Tennessee, here's what I think I would do. Why not make Kevin Steele like an interim coach? I mean, it's not working with Jeremy Pruitt. I think they've set themselves up where they've set him up for failure, because even going into this season, you know, into this upcoming season, do you really expect a lot out of Tennessee? I don't think so. Might as well give Kevin Steele an interim tag and let Jeremy Pruitt go back to Alabama, which is where he wants to go. I honestly believe that. I don't think he wants to be at Tennessee anymore. That's just my opinion on that. But let him go back to Alabama and work with Nick Saban, run the defense there, because wouldn't surprise me if the Alabama defensive coordinator goes with Sarkisian to Texas. So with all of that, you get Kevin Steele in there, and if he lights the fires and gets Tennessee moving this year, then you sign Kevin Steele to a long-term contract. If he doesn't, you use this year to go out and get your team, get the guy that you want. You're the first team. You could have like a jump on everybody. As far as, hey, going out and selling the Tennessee brand, because that's what you got to do now. You got to go and convince these coaches that they want to be at Tennessee. They almost need to, like Peyton Manning does all these ads. They almost need to do some ads with Peyton Manning. Have him go out and be part of the new set of folks that are looking for someone to come to Tennessee to run the program. Because as of right now, they're just not with it. Now, people seem to forget, before Alabama got Nick Saban, Alabama was kind of where Tennessee is right now. Yes, they had won national titles, and they had a period of time where they were a really great program, but they were losing games that they had no business to. What was it 2000? What they were like in 2004? I think they were like 7-5, something like that, and they were on probation. They were cheating to go 7-5. What a disaster that is. Anyway, I bring that up because they found the guy that they wanted. They thought it was going to be Rich Rodriguez, and he told them politely, no. Now look where he's at. He's over at Louisiana Monroe as the offensive coordinator working for Terry Bowden. Anyway, so they went and they got Nick Saban, and look what they've got now. That's kind of what Tennessee needs to do. Find the guy that you want and then go from there. SEC Dog with a good point. Even Peyton Manning doesn't want nothing to do with that dumpster fire at Tennessee. You might be right. Might be right on that. But, man, Tennessee has fallen hard, man. I mean, really hard. I think, since 2014, Mizzou's got more SEC East championships than Tennessee does. I think I had to look that up. I know they went twice since they've joined the conference. I'm not saying Mizzou's a better program, but Mizzou's put out better football. I'll stand behind that. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. We'll talk about teams that have a lot to prove next season, or they may have to make some changes. We'll get into that when we come back. Also, we'll have our picks this afternoon. Dave Clawson had an interesting statement. We'll get into this before we go. Dave Clawson up at Wake Forest says, the transfer portal is the transfer toilet. Dave Clawson up at Wake Forest showing why he's a step ahead of everybody else. He's right. And you want to know why? All these kids can go into the transfer portal without even talking to their coaches and say, hey, I want to go somewhere else. He said this to the Winston-Salem Journal. The joke in the ACC room is that sometimes we call it almost the transfer toilet. There are players that go in there and you never see or hear from them again. This whole idea there's a portal and a one-time transfer rule, and isn't this freedom great? But you're still only allowed to have 85 scholarships. You could still only sign 25 players a year. So you have all these players going in there thinking they can go anywhere and play. There are still scholarship limits. Yes, people watching the transfer portal and they see all these great players. He's right. Look at your team that you've got now. That's why South Carolina is in kind of a unique position. Only had 8 players signed in this class. Okay, so they've got some room over there on that roster. Lots of guys decided to move on and go somewhere else, and that's fine. But the reality is South Carolina looks pretty good because they can go into that transfer portal and end up picking up some guys. And I know people are like, well, Big Cat Williams won't come to South Carolina. Big Cat Williams may get to a point where if he wants to go to an SEC school, the only spot may be at South Carolina. Who are you going to take off your roster for Big Cat Williams? If you're Alabama, Georgia, whatever. That's a big thing too. Got to have a spot for him. Just saying. And even if you do, someone else from that team is going to have to go into the portal again. Or they're going to be bumped. Either way, Dave Clawson is right. The transfer portal is the transfer toilet. More of the rundown in just a moment. You're listening to Fox Sports Radio 1400. Yeah, that's a good point too there, SEC dog. I need some water.
Its hospital should grow too. And that's just what we're doing at Lexington Medical Center. We recently launched the largest hospital expansion project in South Carolina history. Our new 10-story patient tower will help us take better care of patients, including the tiniest infants who need special attention. It will also make room for the growing number of patients who need surgery and intensive care. At Lexington Medical Center, our mission to serve our community never wavers. We're here when you need us today, and we'll be there when you need us tomorrow.
How are you celebrating the new year? One thing that you don't have to worry about this new year is erectile dysfunction. The professionals at Peak Performance for Men will help fulfill your New Year's resolution and bring the celebration back to 2021, regardless of age or medical history. There's no pain, no needles, no surgery, and no medications. Just the newest available proven technology using focused linear compression therapy. Our FDA-cleared medical device regenerates blood vessels and tissue with short in-office sessions. Over 85% of men who receive our treatment experience long-term improvement in male performance, including men with diabetes and prostate issues. Start the new year right. Resolve to fix your erectile dysfunction. Schedule your appointment today. Visit peakperformanceformen.com or call us at 803-302-8181. That's 803-302-8181. Peak Performance for Men. Have a happy new year.
This is Chris Collinsworth. Here's what's trending on the iHeart Sports Network, presented by DraftKings.
Good news for the Hornets. It looks like forward Gordon Hayward could be back in the lineup for tomorrow night's game against Toronto. His injury kept Hayward on the bench in last night's loss. As expected, Clemson running back Travis Etienne is going pro. Etienne announcing on social media that he's entering this year's NFL draft. And it looks like the Atlanta Falcons are poised to hire Tennessee offensive coordinator Arthur Smith as their new head coach. I'm Scott Davidson.
Get in on all this week's action. Download the DraftKings app now. Enter code SPORTS during sign-up to try DraftKings for free. Don't forget, that's code SPORTS to try DraftKings for free. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
A grand in your hand. Win your share of over $450,000. Listen to win weekdays between 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. on Fox Sports Radio 1400.
Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400, 803-978, 1-832-803-978, 1832 is the number to call. Out to the phones we go. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Rundown.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Rob. It's Ray. How are you doing today?
Ray, what's going on, buddy?
Oh, well, talking about this college transfer portal and everything, I was thinking that our very own Jake Bentley could write the Idiot's Guide on how to maneuver in the college transfer portal. What do you think about that?
He has been in it twice. So,
Yeah,
Jake
that's what I
Bentley
was thinking.
there. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I could resist that. Yeah, but really, actually could. But I wanted to, did that caller, have you had a chance to confirm that about Tony Elliott at Clemson yet?
Yeah, he's going to coach the tight ends. It's not an issue of he's not going to be the offensive coordinator. He's just going to coach the tight ends. Trust me.
Good.
Tony Elliott is a smart guy. He's not going to hey, I'm going to turn down being the offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks to coach the tight ends at Clemson. No, that'll just be part of his job. That's just the way that it is.
I was thinking. He's such a valuable asset. But again, I was thinking, and the one thing I'll give Dabo credit for, not just with this Elliott thing, I'm talking about other things. The one thing that he does that I kind of wish my Gamecocks could do is be able to read the tea leaves. I mean, sometimes, and again, I'm not talking about Tony Elliott, but just be able to read the tea leaves. Like when he went and got Trevor Lawrence and made him his number one quarterback, I remember people were up in arms about it. He said, yeah, the other guy, Kelly Bryant's okay, but, he's not going to get us to where we want to be. So I give the program credit in able to read the tea leaves, but thanks for confirming that, because I didn't think that Tony Elliott would not still be the offensive coordinator.
No,
but,
he's
thanks
going to be calling plays, I'm sure, man. Hey, thanks for joining the program. Appreciate it. 803-978, 1-832-803-978, 1832 is the number to call. If you want to join us here on the Rundown this afternoon, South Carolina, by the way, did confirm a couple of contracts. Their offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator both have $900,000 contracts. So that's kind of on the low end as far as on the money side of it. So I just want to throw that note out there a little for just so we have it on record here on the show. Out to the phones we go. 803-978-1832. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Rundown.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. What you got?
Oh, awesome. The question is, would you trade the first round pick for Deshaun Watson?
Deshaun Watson, yes, sir. Number one overall.
Right. I kind of think I kind of feel like it's all up to if the Texans are going to sign the head coach Eric Bieniemy. If he goes to the Texans, I mean, he doesn't have much to work with, and I mean he's got to stay. He's got to keep his quarterback, right? You would think.
I would think so. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And like I said, Eric Bieniemy, like from the Chiefs OC, if he does go there, I mean, you're going to a team with Deshaun Watson as a quarterback and without a first or a second round pick. Now, if you trade him, how much is he worth? You know, what are you going to get for him from the Jags?
Well, and that's the thing. You'll get the number one overall pick, which means you can have Trevor Lawrence as a rookie. And I'm sure they're going to get more. I mean, Deshaun Watson led the league in passing last season. So I know a lot of people think, oh, you don't want to do that and trade and end up with a rookie quarterback. But on the other end of it, though, I mean, Deshaun Watson led the league in passing. So, I mean, that has to be thrown in there. And Watson's 27 years old. So he's just hitting his prime.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have that to deal with too, but it's something to throw out there. And of course, that's what Bart Scott said this morning on ESPN, but I don't see the Jaguars doing that. I just don't see that happening.
I don't see it either. I mean, especially with Urban Meyer. Now some people are saying that they're not even going to go Lawrence at all, and that they're going to go Justin Fields. I've seen that. Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's out there.
Yeah, good point, man. I appreciate you calling the show today, man. Thanks so much.
You got it, man. Thank you.
All right, 803-978-1832. A couple people over there say they won't trade the number one pick. I don't think that's happening. I mean, I really don't. And as good as Deshaun Watson is, he has a no trade clause in his contract too. I mean, so he could theoretically have some say about where he goes. But on the other hand, does he really want to go to Jacksonville and basically start from the bottom and work his way up? I don't think that's what he wants, to be completely honest with you. I mean, if he wanted to rebuild, he'd stay in Houston. At least he gets to hang out with J.J. Watt. It's kind of how I'd look at it. But for me, I think that the solid move is for Urban Meyer and Jacksonville to draft Lawrence. You can make the argument he has the relationship with Justin Fields, even though, I mean, I'm sure him and Fields have a relationship that, even though he didn't coach him there, still, I think that the number one thing to do would be to go with Lawrence and go from there. And you know what? SEC Dog is correcting me. Jacksonville's not that bad. Yeah, they had a bad season. Okay. They traded away a lot of guys. And I think that if they had some of like the Jalen Ramseys and stuff like that, that things would be a little bit different. They're a very young team. Robinson, the running back they've got, 1,000-yard season. So they've got that to build on as well. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832 is the number to call if you want to join us here on the Rundown this afternoon on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Around the world on the iHeartRadio app. College football teams that need to, with the most to prove in 2021. So you look at this article that I found this on the 247 Sports site, and a lot of these teams make sense. Tennessee is one of them, though. And I know we talked about them a little bit, but this is a big-time transition year from Tennessee. The new defensive line coach at South Carolina, I'm still doing some research on, but Shane Beamer's doing what, they talked about not having retreads on the staff. They don't have SEC retreads. That's kind of out the window. I do like that they kept Des Kitchings as their running backs coach. He seems like he's just a ball of energy and ready to go, in my opinion. All right, so We'll take your calls when we come back. 803-978-1832. We also have NFL picks against the spread as we go into the divisional round. First time we get to see Aaron Rodgers and, of course, Pat Mahomes in the playoffs this season. So, yeah, looking forward to this weekend with football. Real quick call before we get out of here into the break. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Rundown.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Hey, man. How are you?
Good. Calling from Scottsdale, Arizona. Want to talk about Trevor Lawrence a little bit?
Sure. What you got, man?
Well, he's only going to be as good as his line. It's going to take 2-3 years to build up what they need to protect the boy. As you said a couple callers ago, the running back had a 1,000-yard season this past year. And that's only because, for lack of a better saying it, an offensive line. I think give the kid 3 or 4 years, and if they can rebuild the offensive line first and then work their way out, I think he'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean, picking Lawrence is not a bad idea. Let's make sure we put that out there.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
But if you can't protect him, he's only going to be as good as his offensive line. So.
Yeah, that's something that Jacksonville has to address. You're right about that, man. Hey, thanks for calling the show, but I appreciate it.
Thanks, brother.
All right, there you go.
Bye.
All right, so yeah, I mean, taking Trevor Lawrence is not bad. It's very good point. Getting Deshaun Watson isn't bad either. But me personally, if I'm starting new, I want to start with a quarterback that has not had years in the NFL weighing on his body and go with the younger guy that's really good. 803-978-1832. Another good SEC Dogs on fire today. OL is very important. I'd hate to see Lawrence running for his life like Joe Burrow did in Cincinnati. Trust me, Cincinnati knows what they've got in Burrow now. They're kind of a flawed organization anyway, which is why they don't really do very well. But trust me, they'll be drafting a left tackle, a right tackle, whatever. They'll go OL probably in the first round, or they're going to sign a free agent. That's got to happen. Or Joe Burrow is going to end up hurt every year because he took a lot of shots this year. More of the Rundown. We come back. Picks for the weekend here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Yeah, Brandon, you're right. Kitchings and Peterson. That's it. Let's slow down with that there, Stetson Bennett. He can't see over the lineman's shoulders. Got to be a big, tall guy, man. Elite fat boys. I wonder how the Houston fan base is going to feel with Watson, where it's like, they traded away the franchise basically to get Laramie Tunzel to protect his blind side. And now he's like, I want to go somewhere else. I mean, seriously, if I'm a season ticket holder, I'm looking at JJ Watt down there wishing that he was TJ Watt because JJ's much older. And my quarterback is whining. Oh, I need this and I need that. Just slow down. We got rid of O'Brien. It's going to take some time.
Fox Sports Radio 1400. Online at foxsportsradio1400.com. On your phone with the iHeartRadio app and on hundreds of devices like Alexa, Google Home, Xbox, and Sonos, an iHeartRadio station.
All right, NFL picks for the weekend. Going to welcome in, of course, from the Instagram page, Savage College Football, Mr. Savage College Football. But we're making him step out of the arena for a moment and actually give us some pro picks. Are you gonna like step up to the plate and do well this week? Because I could pull your picks from last week. I don't think they were very good.
I know they were not very good, but I did call a very controversial pick with the Browns beating the Steelers last week, so I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, well, the Steelers didn't show up. So there's that. All right, here we go. We're going to start with America's team. In the land of bratwurst and cheese, ladies and gentlemen, the Green Bay Packers, the number 1 seed in the NFC.
Wait. Since when are the Packers America's team?
This is my show. They're America's team, sir. Get your own show, and you can determine what America's team is.
What?
This is my show, and they are America's team. The Green Bay Packers are America's team, sir. Simple as that. We will refer to them as America's team here on this show. Who won the first Super Bowl ever played, sir?
The Packers?
The Green Bay Packers. Thank you very much. They are America's team. All right, so the Green Bay Packers are a 6.5-point favorite over the Los Angeles Rams. And the more and more I look at it, the more and more I'm thinking, man, that Rams defense is really good. But then I step back for a moment, and you know what I say? The Green Bay Packers have Aaron Rodgers. The Green Bay Packers have Devontae Adams. The Green Bay Packers are the number 1 seed in the NFC. They don't have this guy sitting on the bench that had issues, Jared Goff. They don't have him. Their coach doesn't even believe in this guy. No, you got Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the NFL this year. Don't believe me? He's going to win the MVP. Going to win the MVP, and he's going to lead the Packers to a 27-10 win over this team from the Rams. All right, what's your pick? It's a 6.5-point favorite there for Green Bay. It's going to be about 25 degrees. Yeah, buddy. What's your pick there, Mr. Savage College Football?
You know, Aaron Rodgers has had one heck of a
Just
season.
go ahead and say, hey, I'm picking the Packers.
What?
And we can move on.
Come on, I'm trying to explain my reasoning
All right,
here.
let's go, buddy. What
Okay,
you got?
I say the Packers win, but the Rams defense does show up. I say the Packers win 17-13.
All right, there you go. 17-13 in the cold up at Green Bay. Our next matchup, the 5-seed Baltimore Ravens play at the number 2 seed Buffalo Bills. This game is on Saturday night at 8:15. By the way, Green Bay plays tomorrow at 4:35. The 8:15 matchup, though, is a good one in the AFC. Buffalo's a 2.5-point favorite. I'll let you pick first, sir.
You know, I don't believe in the hype of Lamar Jackson taking the Ravens to the Super Bowl, so I'm going with the Bills on this one, Rob.
I like the Bills to cover the 2.5. There you go with that. Our next matchup, as we roll along here, you've got the 6-seed Cleveland Browns at the number 1 seed Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs are rested. They're favored by 10. I am going to take the Chiefs to win by about 17 points.
Wow.
I'm not buying into Baker Mayfield. He's just not that impressive.
So you're not going to buy into the Browns offense that put up 48 on arguably one of the best defenses in the NFL last week.
Don't care. Don't care. Give me Pat Mahomes and Sammy Watkins for the win. What you got? Kansas City -10. Which way are you going?
I've got the Chiefs, but they're not going to win by 17.
Okay, so you're taking the 10?
Yeah.
Then what does it matter? Goodness gracious, man. All right.
I'm sorry.
Then we got the next matchup. Our final matchup of the weekend. It is the Battle of the Old Men. You've got Tampa Bay playing at the number 2 seed, New Orleans. New Orleans is 13-4. Tom Brady versus Drew Brees. Tom Brady's record at Tampa Bay against New Orleans, 0-2. Lost once by 11, lost once by 35. This matchup has New Orleans favored by 3 points. Which way you going?
The Saints are so far in 2020 undefeated against the Buccaneers, and they will stay that way. I'm taking the Saints.
It's kind of hard for me to pick against the Saints, but I look back at Tom Brady, though, and generally in the playoffs, even sometimes when he doesn't have the better team, he can get something done. And you know what? The more and more I look at it, give me Tom Brady and the Bucs plus the 3. Watch for New Orleans, though. They may win it by a point. Seriously, I think the game will be that close. This will be the best game of the weekend, in my opinion. Absolutely. I think the AFC games are probably going to be tight, but Green Bay is going to blow out the Rams. But this game is going to be really, really close.
I'm still shocked you say that the Packers are America's
team. I'm not going to argue with you about it. They're America's team. When you go home tomorrow and you watch the Green Bay Packers, you just feel Americana. You feel like Hulk Hogan's going to come strutting out, and the whole "I'm a real American" music's going to flow through his veins.
My gosh.
That is America's team. You know what? It's almost communistic to root for another NFL team.
Are you serious?
Absolutely. When you could root for the Green Bay Packers, you are and you choose another team. It just says you don't like America. That's just kind of the way it is.
Well, I'm a Panthers fan and I like America.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
No,
yes,
you don't.
I do.
No, you don't. Anyway, follow my buddy here, Savage College Football on Instagram. He's got like 18,000 followers. People love him. So you should love him too. All kinds of great college football information. He obviously knows nothing about the NFL game, as you can tell by some of his picks today, and not recognizing the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, my gosh.
All right, get off my microphone. Thanks for joining us here today as we head into the weekend here. Enjoy the football. It's going to be cold tomorrow. Stay inside. Watch the NFL games. Don't support teams that aren't the Green Bay Packers. Anything else to say there, Mr. Savage College Football, before we go?
Follow Savage College FB on Instagram. I post the best college football news out there, and that's about it. And the Packers are not America's team.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, you can't come back next week. More of the rundown on Monday. Thanks for checking us out here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Hey, appreciate you guys over there today. We'll be back at it on Sunday night. Jackpot and I will be. So thanks for checking out the show, guys. You rock. We'll see you later on.